Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dayana. I'm an operations and growth strategist, and I help small business owners and entrepreneurs to scale their business efficiently and effectively by building high-performing teams and automating their systems and processes. So let's get into it. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about wow experiences. I know in my last video I talked about how leadership, operations, and client experience all come together. So if you want more information on that, go watch my last video. But today we're going to be talking specifically about wow experiences. Wow experiences, it doesn't stand for anything. It's simply making the customer say wow. And that's a pretty cool thing to do because a lot of companies don't take the time to put in that extra touch. And so that's why I want to spend a little bit of time on it today. So overall, if you have wow experiences and you do that for your clients or even for your family and friends around you, ultimately you're going to build that trust and that credibility and be that authority in the room, especially with your customers. So if you do decide to do wow experiences, number one, it's going to increase your customer satisfaction. It's also going to increase your repeat customers, which in turn will also increase your referrals, because the more people are satisfied with a service or a product, the more that they are going to refer you naturally, just because they believe in the product, they've tried it, and they loved it. And then with all those things increasing, your revenue is dramatically going to increase, and it's going to naturally increase just because you are taking that extra step. And I don't want you to get caught up in, oh, this is going to be so much effort, this is going to take so much manpower. It does not have to. If you ingrain that the client experience is important to your company culture, it'll naturally just kind of flow. I want to give some examples just to kind of put things into perspective. So one of my previous jobs, I used to work at a car dealership. And this specific car dealership, the owner of it, they pride themselves in creating wow experiences for customers. And I didn't realize that's what it was. They just said the client is always first. Customer service customer service is at the very forefront of their business. I did not truly understand that we were creating those wow experiences at the time, but once I figured out that we were, it was game changing. So one of the times I worked in the service department, and so a gentleman came in and he had some issues with his car. He was initially just coming in for an oil change, but was hearing like a rattling. And so he thought it was going to be maybe like a $300 visit, and it ended up being a $5,000 visit. And of course, that did not obviously go over well, but we're not going to get into that portion. The point is that even though that was a negative experience for him, he had to get it done. So we put him in a loaner vehicle, and instead of just giving him the equivalent car to what he had, which is normally how the process worked, I decided to just upgrade him. He had been talking about, oh, I'm interested in, I used to work at Audi. So he had an A3, if you are familiar with Audis, which is the smallest sedan that they have. He said, I've been interested in getting a Q5. I've been thinking about it. And he had told me that well before his car ended up acting up. So I'd already known this. I'd been with that customer for a few months already. So he came in a couple of times and got service with me. So being that I knew that, I told him, I was like, hey, let me just go ahead and put you in a loaner. Just give me 1 second. And so he was used to me bringing up the A3. Well, this time I brought up the Q5, and he stayed in the waiting room. And I said, hey, your loaner vehicle's outside. And he was like, what do you mean my loaner vehicle's outside? That's not equivalent to my car. And I said, oh, I know you've been talking about it. I know this is a really inconvenient situation for you, and I do apologize that this is happening. So I just wanted to upgrade your loaner vehicle. And he was ecstatic. Obviously, I'm sure he was still a little bit bummed about his car and the large repair he was going to have to get, but it at least made it a little bit of a better experience. The next one is something that I did with, again, another customer at the car dealership. And so this one was really unfortunate. It was kind of sad. So there was a grandmother that came in to get her car serviced, and she had let me know that she really, really needed to get in and out. And the service that she was getting was not going to be an in and out service, but we did it within a day. And so it took about maybe 5 hours. Within that short period of time, just having a natural conversation, not trying to sell her on anything, just asking how she was doing, kind of what's going on. And she informed me that her grandson was actually in the hospital. And it was a really unfortunate situation. But what I did during that short period of time, we had an executive assistant at the car dealership. And so I explained everything to her. I said, hey, she said her grandson loves Dalmatians. Can we by chance go grab some type of like stuffed animal, a stuffed Dalmatian specifically, which is extremely specific. But somehow, some way, this executive assistant was able to pull it off. And then we were also able to get a card and had our entire dealership, all of my coworkers, to sign it. And so when she came in, I didn't even tell her that I did it or anything. I literally just brought her car up and I had the Dalmatian with a card sitting in the front seat. And so I walked her out to her vehicle. She got in. I still didn't say anything. And then she, I guess, had time to look over. And I was on my way walking back to my office. And she was like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. And she was literally in tears because she said we had a very short exchange. It was maybe 2 minutes. But the fact that I picked all of that information up in such a short period of time, and the fact that I was intentional in saying, hey, I want to do more for you because I understand right now is a tough time, that was creating a wow experience for her. And she was a customer for mine as long as I was there. And that's not even why I did it. I just wanted to make an impact and help her to feel a little bit better in that unfortunate time. It was something that she could give to her grandson, and it just makes it all the more special. My last one that I want to share is because that was more so with a client. So I want you to understand too that you don't have to have wow experiences just for clients. Wow experiences can happen anywhere at any time with anyone. So even if it's your significant other. This specific one that I'm going to talk about, this one was actually with one of my team members. So I was the director of that department and she was working under me. And so she had gotten into an accident and it was on the way to the area where I normally drive to get to work. And so she called me and said, hey, I'm totally fine, but I need some help, like getting a tow truck and all of that stuff figured out because she was a little frazzled. So I said, hey, I'm on my way, no worries. And when I got there, we were talking, everything was fine. And then I started to notice she was a little out of it. And so while yes, I'm not a tow truck, I was able to go there and help her to figure it all out. But at the same time, I noticed something was a little off and I was like, hey, like, do you need to go to the emergency room? You seem like you're a little out of it. You're being forgetful. And that normally was not like her. She's normally on top of it, type A personality. And we kept talking a little bit and she was like, no, I'm fine. And I was like, no, call your parents, who they were about an hour away. They lived in a neighboring town. And I said, you need to call them and let them know I'm going to go ahead and take you to the hospital, because it wasn't urgent enough to call 911, but it was urgent enough where I said, you need to seek medical attention because I think you have a concussion. She ended up having a concussion. I helped her get her car squared away, stayed with her vehicle while the tow truck came and picked it up, took her to the hospital. So it was just creating that wow experience for her, because she knew that at the end of the day, she was not just a number to me. And I've said this in my previous videos, anyone who works for me, truly, I love and care about them, each and everybody, because I know that I can't do the things that I do by myself. And so she has been very impactful in my life. And so I want it to also be able to be impactful in hers. And it doesn't matter if I'm her supervisor, I don't care. If you need help and you call me, I'm the type of person that I'm going to come. And she would still say like, oh my goodness, Deanna, like that was such a nice thing that you did. I know that you would never, like, no one has to do that. I've never had a boss that has ever done that for me before. Like that was truly something special. And I'm like, of course, like I'm gonna look out for you. If you have troubles or if something is wrong, let me know. I'm here for you. And that's really all it is creating those wow experiences with your customers and with your friends and your family. It's just about being intentional with what it is that you're doing and listening to what it is that they have to say, actively listening instead of just going through the transaction. I feel like that's oftentimes what we see with businesses, which is unfortunate, is they're very transaction oriented when we should be relationship oriented and want the best for the people that we're interacting with. So If this was helpful, I hope and pray that I was able to touch someone and be able to inspire someone to take action to create those wow experiences for someone in your life, whether you know them well or whether you don't. And just be a light to others as much as you possibly can. So if this was helpful and you want more entrepreneurial tips, strategy tips, please feel free to like this video, subscribe, and like I always say, please comment, because I want to hear what questions you all have, or even if you just like this content, let me know. I'll make more of it. Or if you have questions, I don't mind making a video actually specifically answering your question. So again, thank you all so much for being here, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.